y'all too late, hopefully. We'll see. I'm going to kind of get into some stuff that I've been able to do lately. As far as some things that I've seen that's like really effective. Kind of get into it. There's a couple of things with how routes initially start. They can open up other routes that are very similar to it. We'll start from the inside and then we'll kind of proceed to go outside. It helps if you have abilities, but it's not necessarily required because some of them are basic. So we'll kind of get into it and we'll go from there. First, I want to kind of talk about your in routes, out routes, verticals, posts, and corners. Obviously, if the tight end is running those, you can't press the tight end, and it makes it easier for it to beat man coverage because usually the guy that's in man coverage on the tight end is a sub linebacker or linebacker or something like that. Someone that's not necessarily going to have great coverage man to man. So I'm just going to kind of just go along with the play. And it's more than just man to man. Also, I've noticed that even though bunch sets are good, when you're dealing with people that play press coverage a lot, they're not as good as when they're playing off coverage. Because if they start pressing, usually it jams routes up and it takes them longer to develop. Or any situation where you got guys just running into each other downfield is usually not good. So what I've been doing lately is just making sure that I don't have those guys bunched together unless you're just running like a flat route underneath or something like that. If not, you just go and clear them out, get them away from the bunch set. Now, as far as the routes that I'm talking about, you got it's how the route starts that makes it be able to sell. And then how it attacks after is usually what's going to kind of detach how the user defends it. If the user starts getting to the point where he can't use a zone or he can't use a man, sometimes users tend to gravitate to that route on the field where you're beating them at. So like if I'm just constantly just running something and just hitting them with a quick out, which is obviously going to be open, especially if they don't have like a defensive end or something in the seam flat, I'm going to just be able to keep hitting, and you can get this, easy 5 or 6 times a game, probably 10 to 20% of your offense just hitting them off a quick, easy out route from that position. If they get into a position where they start bringing guys, or if they're playing like a nickel situation where, let me do it again. Or they're like in a nickel situation where he's manned up. And you motion him over. Sometimes you got to pay attention to who's manned up on. Like every formation is different, so a dime might be a little bit different. Always pay attention to who would be manned up on. Okay, so if the guy doesn't follow him, then the inside guy might be a man. He's going to be open to the out route. If the guy that's in man follows him, try to figure out which. It might be like a flip play, because sometimes like the motions don't exactly work the way you want, and sometimes you go into a game, someone might flip their plate. So I'm trying to see maybe if I can force it with like a dime defense. Not sure. Follow. Okay, see how he followed him? So you know that guy's in man. So when I see that, instead of going an out route because he's outside the tight end where I would normally go, I would do an in route, and you know, he'd be in the wrong position and I'd be able to attack him that way because I know that I have the inside leverage. Okay, so that's just something, if you start seeing stuff, you know, you key in on it. Because if I go out route the same way, keep in mind he's outside. Now I still might get the beat on him, but see how he bumps and see how you get a catch in traffic situation. You don't want those. Okay, so always kind of pay attention to how people align in situations like that. Instead of going out route, just hit him with the in route. As you can see, we're out in front of him. You always want to make sure that you get those types of situations. Now, this is where you start opening up on them, okay? Because then they'll start doing all kinds of crazy stuff where they'll pretty much start trying to start bringing their user down to defend them. You know, so sometimes I might, per se, instead of going in route, out route, I'll go vertical over the top. Now, going vertical over the top, everything's got to be about spacing. Remember, there's real life football where you can do routes where everything's kind of interceding deep down the field, and then there's Madden where you don't want anything getting close to anything. So usually you might, you know, make sure that you keep the idea of what I like to do on offense called spacing. Make sure everything has its distance from everything so that you have easy reads on the field without, you know, having one user being able to defend 2 or 3 routes on this spot of the field. You know, and that over the years in Madden has just been, you know, it's been basically the dominant thing. People would get on a linebacker and stay in the middle of the field and just try to lurk everything you cross with in your mesh concept. You know, so I still like the idea of spacing, but I don't necessarily just want to spam spacing routes the whole game, you know, because then man coverage will lock it up. I mean, you can still have the concept of spacing, but you can design it to be man. So like, again, they get so worried about that little out route or something like that, and then next thing you know, you're going vertical over the top. Okay? So now you really got their user just second guessing. Okay, so now you done hit them with the in route, the out route, the vertical. They don't know where it's going. Now you can just kind of use that to open up other stuff on the field that you want, you know. So it's just something that you guys can consider. And then while doing that, once you get those routes basically the key point of what you're doing on offense, now you can use those routes to open up everything else. Okay, so let's say he's in, looks like maybe cover 3. All you're going to do is an out route. That out route versus cover 3 is going to pull down any flat routes, curl routes. Okay, that is going to open up that crosser across the middle of the field. The deep fade on the outside is going to pull the third on one side. The fade wheel route on the right is going to pull the curl flat, and is going to pull the third. So you should be able to get that crosser right underneath the mid-third, but over the 2 hook curls in the seam flat, assuming that's what they're running, and then you can just lowball it right there. But for some odd reason, Madden does shit like that, where and you know you've beaten them, and they'll kind of do stuff like that. But it is what it is. Like I said, you'll get that route, and it'll get over the top. Now, again, like I said, it'll become a situation where, okay, they might try to user bracket the out route. They might put a flat route and the guy in man on him, be like, haha, we're going to get you, and they might use it to cross him. Well, now you can go vertical and then hit the out route with the receiver on the left side. Now, he doesn't have anything outside the numbers that's going to be able to defend that out route. That corner has to play a hard flat in order to be able to defend that quick out route. that whatever flat route from the linebacker or the slot usually might not get out there just based off the formation I see. It's not going to get out there fast enough, you know, to be able to kind of do what you want to do. And also the vertical route by the tight end is going to hold that seam flat or curl flat a little bit longer. Okay, so you don't have to worry too much about him kicking directly outside. And then that vertical route will not only do that, but it'll pull back any curl flats, and it'll pull back that third safety. Now you're not going to have that crosser in the middle of the field like you did when you run that tight end on that out route. You're going to have to wait a little bit for it to develop, but once you wait for it, you're going to be able to hit it over there outside the numbers. Okay, assuming that third doesn't drop to it. If that third drops to it, you can just hit the out route. Okay, so you just boom, quick out route. They're going to have to adjust to it. Okay, so again, we just hit him with the same thing. Now he's got two split safeties. I know I can use this as, again, you know, I can go vertical at the seam, or I can wait and hit that crosser. It'll be a little tough if I'm under pressure. Sometimes you might want to slide protect. Try it again with the slide protect. Get that little slide protect, and then you can just wing it on over there. Okay. That vertical run right at that deep half safety is going to prevent him from playing anything to the outside. So anytime you see that specific setup with two deep halves and those corners are playing down low, this is how you're going to do it. Just make sure you slide protect to the weak side. Hopefully you don't get blitzed. Or if they bring both of their safeties down. Just like that. Now let's get into further detail. We still have two more routes that we can break onto the seam. So the next one is the corner and the post routes. So usually the same thing right here is you want to kind of implement the whole scheme in place. You want everything that you're doing to work. You don't want to leave yourself divided. So just got to find a route concept that I would, prefer to use versus that. Now, if I'm using a corner route, remember you have to hold whatever's in front of them. You don't want to bring anything to that corner, right? So if I'm hitting them with a corner route, now you can opt the smart route. The same thing with the in routes and the out routes. You can dig those, make those appear to be verticals, and smart route them as digs. But again, you can create these little spacing concepts underneath. And like I said, you want something to go out quick so that that corner drops down to it, and then still have your spacing underneath. So now you can kind of read that over the top post as a threat now, which is going to be like that crossing route, except it's going to get over there a lot faster than that crossing route. Crossing route needs to develop. These corner routes, it's the same concept of what we're doing, except it just gets there faster. Okay, so we could sell that basically with this spacing concept, and we could probably just put him to the flat, so it looks like he's still doing that wheel route, and we can still hit him right there, and then we can still have that right there to space him off with. Okay, so hit him with it again, and obviously they still, that is an issue this year so far. From what I've noticed is you'll get a bunch of D-line tips more often than they should happen. You just kind of play with it. You got a linebacker and coverage on the tight end, pass rusher, linebacker, and coverage on the tight end. We did have one bump. You want to try to minimize the bumps that you get, or if you find yourself getting into those bumps, then you need to change your route. Now, if I do it with the underneath spacing with Adams and then have the swing route with a running back, now you got to look at their spacing downfield. So you can use these routes to kind of scheme with and prioritize them as being the go-tos, all in while you're still, threatening the in routes, the out routes, and the verticals. Okay. So the next one that we're going to get to, same thing like the corner route. We're going to run the post route here. And it's going to be just like that situation where if that guy follows me, like I'll use post routes versus man, not so much with corner routes or anything to the outside. Usually man coverage will typically play the corner routes a little bit more better, but post routes not so much. So I just kind of come out in that defense from earlier. And then we just hit them with a post route. Now usually if I'm doing post routes, I know typically they don't go as deep as you would think they do. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have anything to the flat going to the flat. Okay, you want to try to, same thing, space everyone out so they're not touching each other. Okay, so you see right here, the corner route becomes the next threat. Now he doesn't know which one to defend now, because now you have the in route, the out route, the corner route, the post route, and the vertical, which all sell the same initial release, but doesn't necessarily give away what you're trying to do underneath. So you can use those routes to basically scheme the rest of your offense for your second and third reads if it gets to a position where they might man and user, that tight end or something like that, which, that's what you're supposed to do with your superstar players. You're not supposed to just, be like, I'm just going to run a stock play and, expect him to just beat everything with a stock play. Get your guy the ball fast, efficiently, and effectively, quick, okay? Make him become a threat in your offense, and I guarantee you your opponents will have to make an adjustment to stop him, as well as the other stuff that you'll be able to do as soon as I, go ahead and give you the pros and cons of everything that I'm working on for my offensive evil. I do kind of hope that this guy helps you, and that you'll be able to use it to get some more wins. Other than that, like I said, I wasn't going to hold you too long. I just wanted to kind of give you some ideas on stuff that I've been working on and seeing that is definitely going to be able to help you be more efficient in passing. Again, appreciate y'all tuning in, and I hope this helps you.